The story begins with bloodshed. A girl is repeatedly attacking Kanata with a knife, and this is where the story ends. But he is born in another world. When he opens his eyes, he sees an old goblin. But he thinks, I have got a new life, so I have to do something terrible and big in this. The old man comes there on the 4th day and says to all of them, then he sees a strange bird in the sky, and there are many strange plants, after seeing which he understands. No, this is not hunting. They first see a lion-like rabbit. Gobuchi runs after it and kills the rabbit in front of him. When the cow you come to the hunt the next day. But the next day it rains, because of which they can't go hunting. Gaburo goes to find a weapon in the treasure room, but there he sees something that shocks him. After this, Gaburo is working on his weapon when he sees the old man, who says, "You're going to level up soon." Gaburo tells him that he can check his level in his mind. Gaburo checks and sees that his level is 86 now. The old man tells him, when your level reaches 100, you will evolve. He explains that evolving is not a small thing. Only one goblin can evolve out of dozens. Here, Gaburo learns a lot of things, like the fact that goblins do not have a very long life. The old man is only 20 years old. Before leaving, he tells Gaburo, many young goblins are coming back from the village. When they come, you will see with your own eyes how evolved goblins look. Their hunt goes on like this, and they kill many creatures. Gaburo eats them, gaining many abilities. Later, Gaburo wants to eat the head of a snake, but Gobomi refuses, saying it will be very poisonous. On the 11th day, they enter a cave where they find a lot of bats. At first, they start running away, but then they fight back and kill the bats together. After killing them, they eat them, gaining many new abilities. Many goblins are watching them, hungry. On the 12th day, many goblins surround them at night, but Gaburo struggles to control his poison abilities, but then he decides to use them as an example, so that no goblin will dare raise a hand against. When they eat the orc, Gaburo gains a lot of abilities again, including learning the orc language. After this, they bring the remaining meat back for the other goblins. At night, Gaburo gets an evolution option, and he says yes. He sees that his look has changed. Along with him, Gobuchi has also evolved. The old man is surprised to see that they have evolved so fast, as it hasn't even been a month since they were born. Gobomi, who was hiding behind a tree, calls him and tells him about the wolves. Many wolves are following the horned rabbits, having a feast. Gaburo thinks, we will only know how much our power has grown after hunting them. Gaburo kills the leader and eats its meat, gaining many new abilities, including military leadership. He takes the remaining wolves back to the goblins and tells them he will train them to hunt and make weapons. The goblins are overjoyed and bow to him, but he tells them, there's no need for that. We are all friends. On the 17th day, all the goblins were training. When Gobiro returned to his cave, he saw that Gobmi had evolved. All the human women had poisoned themselves because they couldn't bear the torture. Gobiro and Gobji burned their corpses. By the 26th day, Gobiro was still training everyone. By now, he had eaten many monsters and increased his skills. He noticed some goblins moving toward him. Gobji stepped in front of him and explained that these goblins were the fathers of their generation, who had just returned from the ridge. They had brought a lot of food and humans with them. You can guess what was going to happen next. Gopro didn't like this. He went to his leader and asked if he could take responsibility for the humans. The leader became angry and even threatened to kill him. This led to a situation resembling a civil war, with old and new goblins drawing swords on each other. Then 2 female goblins suggested settling it with a duel, where no weapons were allowed. Both sides agreed. In the fight, GoPro easily won. He asked the old leader where he had hidden the weapons, but the leader said they came from his body, so he hadn't broken any rules. With that, Gobro became the new leader. The new generation of goblins was happy, but the old generation disliked it. Gobro provided the human women with a place to live and assured them he would take care of them. He promised to release them into a human village at the right time, but demanded human knowledge in return. The girls explained that they were traveling merchants when goblins attacked their group. All the men were brutally killed and they were taken captive. Hearing this, the girls cried and Gobro left them alone. On the morning of the 28th day, Gobro brought them food. He noticed they seemed much happier. Upon talking to them, he learned one was an appraiser, another a blacksmith. Twin sisters could cook and sew. A girl with glasses was an alchemist, and a red-haired girl was a warrior, though she wasn't good at fighting yet. Gobro continued training the goblins. Even the older goblins joined, though if they disobeyed or misbehaved, he beat them. For a few days, the goblins focused on training instead of hunting. On the 31st day, during heavy rain, the goblins practiced fighting. That night, the elder goblins approached the human girls with bad intentions. Thanks to Gobro's skill, he woke up and caught them. The girls woke to see Gobro severely beating the elder goblins. The girls were scared, but Gobro apologized, which made them cry again. The commotion brought the new goblins over. Gobro told them to wake the others, intending to show the consequences of breaking the rules. He beat the old leader in front of everyone, declaring that this was what happened to rule breakers. By morning, the old leader had died. On the 32nd day, 3 striped goblins went hunting for a horse. Their arrows broke against its shield, but Gobro trapped it in his net, and they killed it. Eating the horse granted Gobro many skills, including triple thrust, allowing a single attack to land 3 hits. That night, the red-haired girl slept beside Gobro, seemingly seeking comfort. By morning, Gobro found not 1 but 2 girls beside him, surprising him. The girl who lagged behind in training had now evolved. Training resumed with the newly evolved goblins. Captain Gobmi, Light Warriors Captain Sato, and Sei, captain of the magical warrior units and the only member, joined. Gobro went hunting alone in the northern forest. He remembered Gobji's warning that the area belonged to a red bear's kingdom. Despite the danger, Gobro's greed for new skills drove him to fight the bear. He attacked with his magical spear, but the bear blocked with its paw. Their fierce battle saw Gobro tying the bear in his net, but it broke free and breathed fire, igniting the area. Gobro used water magic to douse the flames, but sustained injuries. Despite being on the brink of death, Gobro pressed on. The bear's head was too thick for his weapon to penetrate, but after a grueling fight, Gobro won on the 34th day. The bear was impaled, missing a hand, which Gobro ate, gaining more abilities. Right before fainting, he received the option to evolve. By the 35th day, Gobro noticed his knife seemed small. He had evolved into an ogre. Returning to the village, the goblins were terrified until Gobmi recognized him. Out of anger, she kicked him, but ended up hurting herself. No one could believe how quickly he evolved, or that he defeated the red bear. Gobro went to the human girls, not for clothes, but for help. He praised the blacksmith girl's knife made from a spirit stone, which made the twin sisters jealous. Gobro offered them help, sending 3 female goblins to assist with cooking and laundry. The goblins even asked if the girls would marry them, which the girls didn't appreciate. Gobro spent time with the girls, lifting his mood. However, by the 36th day, his training became problematic. Even light attacks hurt the goblins, forcing him to heal them constantly. He replaced his lost hand with slime abilities, making it highly flexible. The next day, a carbuncle in critical condition was brought to Gobro. The creature, named Returner, explained that humans had attacked her for the gem on her head. She revealed she was an artificial carbuncle created by Valued, and that her master had hidden many legendary items. Hearing this, Gobro gathered the goblins to search for the treasure. He warned the human girls to stay safe while he was away. On the 36th day, we see that Gobro is unable to train with the others because even his light attack severely injures them. Even GoPro can't stand in front of him, so GoPro must heal everyone afterward. Apart from that, everything else was normal. GoPro also replaced his severed hand using the slime ability, allowing him to stitch it perfectly. On the 37th day, GoPro brought a wounded carbuncle in the morning and started healing it. Go mentioned that she found it while digging. When the carbuncle regains consciousness, she thanks them and introduces herself as Returner. She explains that humans attacked her, aiming to steal the high-class gem on her head. Hearing this, GoPro realizes the gem's value. Returner pleads for protection from the humans, saying she won't survive much longer. We learn that Returner is an artificial carbuncle created by Valued. Her core was damaged during a human attack on her cave, and she doesn't have long to live. She reveals that her master hid many legendary items, and, due to his hatred of humans, preferred them to fall into Gobro's hands instead. Gobro gathers the goblins and announces they're heading to the treasure room, ordering the spirit stone knife before leaving. He tells the human girls to stay safe, though they only wish for his safe return. Reaching the location where he found Returner, Gobro instructs the other goblins to hide, calling them only if needed. Soon after, human adventurers appear. An invisible assassin tries to attack Gobro, but Gobro stops him easily and warns them to retreat or face death. Refusing to listen, the adventurers, equipped with high-level magical items that boost their weak inherent magic, press on. Instead of fighting them directly, Gobro calls his goblins and consumes them, gaining many new skills and items, including an item storage bag that provides internal storage. Upon reaching the treasure room, they find Valued's body. Returner reveals that Valued collected numerous spirit stones. She thanks Gobro before her time runs out, and Gobro consumes her spirit stone. He collects all items but feels uneasy leaving Valuit's body unaddressed, so he burns it. An armor piece falls from the remains, attaching itself to Gobro's hand when worn, granting him new skills and full control over the arm. Returning home, Gobro celebrates with a party. The next day, he collaborates with the blacksmith on weapons, giving the survey hobgoblins a magical weapon while keeping a legendary spear for himself, legendary items being so powerful that any human wielding one could rule a kingdom. On day 40, the goblins hold a knockout tournament to determine rankings. Later, during an exploration for new species, they discover a golden spider, obtaining a valuable item. Gobro also encounters a red deer, kills and consumes it, acquiring numerous skills. He soon reaches a strange area and recalls Gopji's warning about dryads, beautiful, female creatures that seduce intelligent males for nourishment. Determined to avoid trouble, Gobro attempts to leave but is ensnared by a dryad. Despite resisting, he remains trapped for 5 hours. Afterward, he remarks, "I don't know what happened, but I enjoyed it." He then bathes at a waterfall, where lizardmen ambush him. He defeats and consumes them. On day 42, Gobro discovers 2 goblins capable of using magic. Their unusual excitement unnerves him. He learns to enchant weapons, enhancing his power, but notices the girls avoiding him. Seeking answers, some tell him to figure it out himself. Visiting the alchemist, she reveals they're jealous, pointing out love bites on his neck, embarrassing Gobro. She kisses his cheek and moves closer, but Gobro's perverted nature surfaces. Despite her initial anger, she shares her feelings, prompting the other girls to voice similar sentiments. Gobro cheekily suggests everyone already knows what happened that night. The next morning, Gobro's search ability detects people approaching the village. With his enhanced perception, he spots the elf leader outside the cave. The elf leader demands an explanation for the wait, mentioning an ongoing war between humans and elves over elven treasures. The elves seek goblin aid, offering food supplies in exchange. Though the elder is pleased, Gobro refuses, insisting they ask politely. When the elf leader threatens him, Gobro's aura terrifies them. Grabbing the leader's neck, he orders the hidden archers to lower their bows. One archer defies him, shooting an arrow that Gobro bites and breaks meters. Intimidated, the elves withdraw. On day 45, Gobro ventures into the jungle, kills 20 Greyngit shared vision. By day 46, Gobro provides casual challenges them to fight his goblins, offering survival to the winners. Out of 23 elves, 6 lose and are consumed by Gobro, granting him additional skills. He confiscates the survivors' magical items, declaring them prisoners. After this, Gobro doesn't know where he is. A person approaches and gives him something, but then Gobro wakes up. It was just a dream. Day 51. Aptitudes and determines that one of them can become a mage, while another can be made into a cleric. One of them says, "My name is Gobro, and I will try my best to heal as many people as possible." We are finally siblings, born on the same day. Hope has evolved too, and for now, he is in an Elod position. Hope says that Elods don't have such marks on their hands. Later, Hope steps out and, meanwhile, Gobro thinks, "The village is leveling up very fast. I think I am the main reason for this because goblins grow according to their environment. However, some people's power is still not increasing." Day 52. Gobro is surpassing them. They say, "Gobro, if you want, you can kill us, but we will not stop here." Gobro responds, "Okay." Day 53. Gobro sees an orc who has killed a human and is taking the body away. Gobro kills the orc and remarks, "This human has some very good abilities." He then eats the human, gaining a monster timer ability. 4-4. Gobro informs everyone that their parents have left the village. If anyone else wants to leave, they can go freely, he says, but no one chooses to leave. Day 55. Gobro he tests the earrings, and the test is successful. Gobro battles a horse and defeats it with a single attack, but the horse is unharmed. So, he uses his monster taming ability and the horse becomes his first familiar. Day 58. Gobro chases after wolves and ultimately tames the leader of the Black Wolves, making him the bodyguard of the human girls. Day 50. Gobro is surprised that the red-haired girl has learned to fight and can now defeat 3 goblins at once. Later, while digging, Gobro accidentally reaches Velvet's treasury, which explains why the Guardian was after him. The skeletons then kneel before him and call him Lord. "But why are you calling me Lord?" "God." After this, Gobro heals the injured goblins while Elva remains in jail. Day 61. Gobro and Kichi go hunting and spot some humans following something. They decide to follow them. The humans wait by the roadside, and Gobro listens to them using his ability. He learns that the humans plan to kidnap the chief's daughter, and that an elf has given them this information. Gobro waits until nightfall when the chief's daughter passes by. At that moment, the humans attack, killing the elves protecting her. Just as they are about to kidnap the girl, Gobro intervenes, defeating the humans and capturing them. After interrogating them, Gobro learns that the humans will launch another attack in 20 days. After this, Gobro eats all the humans. When the girl wakes up, she is terrified, thinking Gobro intends to harm her. He calms her down, but she asks, "Why didn't you save my guards? You are a terrible person." Gobro pushes her away and responds, "I am not involved in the conflict between humans and elves." The girl starts crying, realizing there is a traitor among the elves. Gobro tells her to rest for the night. Later, he asks her about her wings, and she reveals that she is a high elf. The next day, they arrive at the village, and Gobro detects several elves aiming bows at them. However, the girl reassures everyone, saying, "They are my saviors." The chief meets Gobro, who says, "I did not save your daughter out of kindness." The chief, nevertheless, prepares a reward, offering Gobro an ancient-level item. Gobro is happy and also gains valuable information about humans. The chief, pleased, gives him even more supplies. Before leaving, the chief mentions that a group of high elves has gone missing. This is the same group that Gobro has secretly captured, though he feigns ignorance. As a parting gift, the chief gives Gobro medicines and alcohol, making him even happier. "If you ever need help, just let me know," Gobro says. The next morning, Gobro wakes up and sees that Go-Be-Me, having received a blessing from the god of ice, can now control ice. Her eyes also have a hypnotizing effect, forcing enemies to fight each other. Meanwhile, Gobi has evolved into a half-Earth Lord, gaining the ability to manipulate terrain and detect magical items. Sato has evolved into a half-Blood Lord, able to manipulate blood as a weapon. To prepare for future battles, Gobro ranks everyone according to their abilities. The training continues, and Gobro summons skeletons for sparring practice. He also learns that he can summon various undead creatures, though they burn in sunlight. As Gobro's army grows to 100 members, he ensures the weakest goblins undergo extra training. Meanwhile, Kichi confesses his feelings to Gobi. Gobro advises him to confess soon, and that night, Kichi does just that. The next day, during training, Gobro discovers that Gobi reciprocates Kichi's feelings. The Gobros continue their preparations, waiting for the impending battle.